All right, everybody. It's time to take a look at the Illustrator workspace. So if you've got Illustrator and you want to follow along, go ahead and open it up and get to a blank document, and then let's see what she's made of. All right. Let me pull up my screen, and here we go. So as you look at the Adobe Illustrator workspace, this is what you typically see when you fire it up. When you start it out, you see this basic frame where you've got your workspace in the middle, your toolbars on the left, and then you have these property dialog boxes along the right. And this is that basic layout that you get by default. One of the first things I like to point out is under the window menu, you have something called a workspace. And these are different layouts for the Illustrator interface. All right. So there's one here called Automation, Essentials, which is the basic default setting, Essentials Classic, Layout, Painting, Printing, Proofing, blah, blah, blah. What that does is it sets a preference for the way your Illustrator interface looks. There isn't a right or a wrong way to set up your Illustrator workspace. It's just whatever's comfortable. Frankly, for beginners, I prefer Essentials Classic, which goes back a couple of years to a layout that we've been using for a long time. And it's my preferred one because it has the most number of tools on the side that you're going to need, the most common tools you need, and then also kind of the access to the most frequently used palettes over on the right as well. And I'll kind of go through what those are and how they work in a moment. As you orient yourself to the workspace, you'll see we have a title bar along the top with different menus, file, edit, object, type, select, effect, view, window, help, etc. Then we have a control bar along the top, which is kind of this mini bar that has, stroke and fill and a few other settings. Something to pay attention to is that these settings here, they change based on what tool you have selected. Then, of course, you have your toolbar here on the left where you have all of your tools. And something I'd like to point out is if you hover your tool over any, or your cursor over any one of those tools, it expands and gives you a little advertisement for what that tool is. That's really helpful, especially when you're trying to learn what to do and how it operates, right? So, another thing, if you look at a tool that has a little arrow next to it, you press on it with your cursor, it expands, and you'll see extra tools that are associated with it. For today, for now, I'd like you to focus on just the top tools, these selection arrows, the pen tool, and the shape tool, and the type tool here. Those are the ones that really matter in the beginning and the most. These other tools down toward the bottom, you'll start to use as you go along, but they're more like modification tools, and they come up later as you're dealing with different aspects of your graphics. Then at the bottom of the toolbar, you have your fill square and your stroke outline square. Those basically tell you what color you'll be using on your object. Also, something to pay attention to, it's very subtle, but one is in front of the other. Right now, the outline or the stroke is in front of the fill box. If I click on the fill box, it comes forward and is in front. What does that mean? That just means that that's the color you're editing. So if I pick a swatch, let's say, it changes the color on the inside fill box. If I click the stroke, it's going to change the color of the stroke. So whichever one is forward is the one you're editing. That's not the only place to do that, though. If you look at the top, you have a fill box and a stroke box here. If you click on it, it expands and shows you the available colors. You've also got it over here on the appearance palette, over here on the properties dialog, where you can click and adjust those things as well. Again, something I like about this Essentials Classic layout is you have access to these different modifications in multiple places. It's not just in one place, right? So there are different ways to do the exact same thing you'll find as you go along. Speaking of palettes, if you look over here on the side, we've got a whole list of palettes here. These can completely be moved and rearranged as you see fit. So if you look at a palette, let's say, I'm going to click this one, transform, just happens to be. If I drag it off of the palette bar, it can expand and sit there and be visible the entire time if I want it to. I can also drag it and drop it and reposition it with another one. I can rearrange them as needed. If I want to close it, I click the X and it goes away. If by chance I've hidden a palette that I need to find again, all I have to do is go to the window menu and I have the complete list of available palettes and I can bring them back. What was the one I had there? I don't remember. But I'll just click artboards and that'll expand that one. Or maybe info. Sure, there we go. So when you bring up those palettes, they become visible. And you can take that palette and drop it in there if you want. You want to put it over here on the side. It makes a little mini icon. And that now is available for you all the time. As you get used to these little icons, you'll start to recognize which palettes are which and what you need to do with them. One more thing to point out. Sometimes there's a lot more information available with a palette that's kind of hidden. So if I double click the tab, it hides it. Let me bring it over here. If I double tap it, it collapses it. Double tap it again, it expands it. Tap it, it gets smaller, hidden. It's like a way of minimizing your palettes. And so sometimes it can be a little confusing. You look at a palette and you're like, hey, isn't there more stuff there? There's also a little stacked menu here on the side. If you click that, it gives you another little sub menu of choices. And so pay attention to these little tiny buttons along the edges. They actually make a difference with how your palettes work. So if you're hunting for something, a lot of times it can be hidden away and you don't realize it. Now, something has happened over here on the side. My layer palette has expanded and my properties has disappeared. I'm going to double click properties and voila, comes back up. All right. So that's kind of a basic layout of things. The next thing to cover is to look at, our workspace. Right now, this is a single page in my artboard view. How do I zoom in and zoom out? Well, if you're on a Mac, Command plus or Command minus on your keyboard. Or if you're on a PC, Control plus and Control minus. One of the unique things about Illustrator is the workspace, the artboard is almost, it's not infinite, but it's huge. So you can have all kinds of space to work. And when you have things on the whiteboard, that's your page, that's the printable or visible space. Everything else in the background is kind of like your hidden space. It's like your extra space. And you can have multiple pages or artboards inside your document. And those are all controlled by the artboard tool. So over here on the side, I've got the artboard. I can expand, create another page, let's say. And now I have two artboards. Over here on the properties dialog box, you'll notice that when I drew that artboard, it now tells me the size of that artboard. I could make it 8.5 by 11 if I wanted. Or let's say I wanted a business card. I could make it 3.5 by 2. Switch back to my selection tool. Now I have a page size document and a business card document inside my same file. So this is one of my favorite things about Illustrator too, is that when I'm working on something, I can have multiple projects that are related to each other inside the same Illustrator file. It makes it really helpful to share resources and colors and objects, and then to kind of have them all clustered together so I can make a unified PDF later on if I need to for a presentation or something. Really useful. All right, another tool you have here is the hand tool. This one allows you to slide and move your page around. That's really useful. It's also achieved by pressing the spacebar on your toolbar, on your keyboard, I mean. Press spacebar and you temporarily get the hand tool and you can slide and move things around. Now, if you press Option or Alt on a Mac, You can zoom in and out by using your scroll wheel on your mouse. I think that's Alt. That's going to be Alt for you PC users. You PC users, you. All right. And you can slide and move things around. Cool. So that's how you kind of navigate your workspace. The last thing we'll mention here for this little part is what to do with your files. Okay. Under the file menu is where you're going to find all of your saving and opening options for your work. Typically, you just want to get used to doing a save whenever you make your files. It's always terrible when you've been working for a while on something and then you lose it. So when you save a file, you get a dialog box that asks you where to put it. But what I want you to pay attention to is the format. What format are you going to pick? And Illustrator has some basic formats. You've got the standard .ai file, Illustrator EPS, template, and a PDF. Probably most of the time, you're going to be making Illustrator files or PDF files. PDFs are great for sharing. It's real easy to use them and create them from Illustrator. Excellent way to share your work. But definitely don't lose and get rid of your AI files. Those are your originals. So a tip I always give my students is pay attention to where you save your work and name things. And don't be afraid to make copies and backups of your work. Always keep your originals. And luckily, Illustrator files are small, so they don't take up a lot of space. So it doesn't hurt to make a copy if you need to. All right. Good. So let's move on to our next lesson.